Good afternoon. My name is Brian Matthews. I'm the Acting Chief of Police for the Hayward Police Department. I'm here to talk about an officer-involved shooting incident that took place yesterday on September 6th. For clarification, we are in the preliminary stages of this investigation. I'm going to share some information with the understanding there's much that we still don't know and hope to learn through the investigative process. Last night, around 9:40 p.m., we received a report of a man brandishing a firearm near the 2200 block of City Center Drive. Witnesses reported a man pointed a gun at them and then left the area on foot. Witnesses provided responding officers with the man's description and path of travel, which prompted a search. During the search, officers encountered a man matching the description provided. They tried speaking with the man, who wasn't cooperative, and he began to walk away. At least one witness saw the man point a firearm in the direction of officers, and an officer-involved shooting resulted. The man was taken into custody and received medical treatment at the scene. However, he was pronounced deceased by responding medical personnel. The identity of the man is not known at this time, and we are working with the Alameda County Coroner's Office to identify him. There were 2 Hayward police officers involved in this shooting. They were not injured and have been placed on paid administrative leave consistent with our officer-involved shooting protocol. We are not releasing the identity of the involved officers as they have yet to be interviewed. However, we will do so at a future date, barring the development of information that would preclude us from doing so. A firearm was recovered at the scene and was determined to be a BB gun, but only after the shooting incident took place. I should add that it matched the description of the firearm provided by witnesses. As I mentioned before, this is a preliminary investigation, and the information, we are still processing evidence and conducting interviews. Any loss of life is tragic, and last night's incident is no exception. My heart goes out to the decedent and those involved, including the involved Hayward employees. The Hayward Police Department takes all incidents involving the use of force very seriously, and we are committed to ensuring fair, impartial investigations are conducted based on all available facts and evidence. We recognize the community entrusts us with the legal authority to carry out our duties, and we do not take that responsibility lightly. We remain committed to transparency with our community, and we intend to provide additional information once it becomes available, and that includes the body-worn camera footage of this incident. There are multiple investigative efforts underway involving the Hayward Police Department, the Alameda County District Attorney's Office, and an independent third-party consulting firm of subject matter experts on police use of force. The Department of Justice was notified, and they are not involved in the investigative efforts at this time. However, consistent with City of Hayward policy, we will request their review of all associated investigations and reports upon their completion. And with that, I'll go ahead and open it up for a few questions.
Are BB guns considered firearms?
Under the penal code, they are not. They're not considered firearms, although the Department of Justice evaluates that differently, and I'll refer that to them.
And Chief, just because a BB gun, I think, is considered a deadly weapon in front of the Dean's office is not at the AG.
So the District Attorney's Office is looking into this, correct. The Department of Justice was notified, and they advised that they're not going to come out and investigate this at this time.
And can you give the genders and years of experience for the 2 officers who were involved?
Sure, they are both male, and I want to say they have around 5 years on each of them.
Did both officers discharge their weapons?
There were 2 officers that discharged their weapons, yes.
How many shots were fired?
I don't have a shot count at this point, so anything I would provide would be speculation. I don't want to do that.
Was there a shoplifting case involved? I know there was a lot of talk on the scanner about shoplifting before this. And did he point the gun at somebody inside the Safeway?
So our understanding of the incident is that he pointed the gun at 2 females who were in a vehicle. I'm not aware of any nexus to the Safeway at this point, but that hasn't been ruled out.
What was the time frame from when you got the call to when the officer-involved shooting happened?
So the call, I think, was received at about 9:40, and I want to say that the officer-involved shooting took place not long after 10 o'clock.
Was the shooting captured on body-worn camera footage, and were both officers, was it captured on both of their cameras or either one?
So my understanding is that it was captured. There were 3 officers present. Only 2 officers fired their weapons, and my understanding is that all 3 had their body-worn cameras on, and that's, again, going to be part of the information release that is yet to come.
could just talk with, somebody that we interviewed described it sounded like the 4th of July, there were so many shots. But you also made the point that there's somebody who pointed it appeared may have pointed a gun at officers. What the policy is if officers feel like their life's in danger. I mean, it sounds like a dangerous scene.
So from a use of deadly force perspective, you know, officers are taught to respond until the individual is no longer a threat. One of the things that we don't have is the statement of any of the involved officers at this point. That's in the process of being scheduled, and that's information that we're hoping to learn through that part of this investigative process. So we're hoping to have that information to be able to share soon.
So where this happened, it's kind of a big empty lot. It's 9:40 at night, it's dark. Were they using flashlights when they confronted him? I mean,
My understanding is they were conducting a search with flashlights, yes.
You've been called to that area before. It looks like an area where there's a number of unhoused people that live there. I would classify it as an area that's frequented by folks who are unhoused. I do believe we've received call for service to that effect there before, but I don't have any data to share at this point.
Chief, has either officer been involved in any previous shootings, deadly or otherwise?
Not that I'm aware of.
Can you just make sure I got this right? So there were at least one person said he pointed a gun at officers, is that right? And that's when the shooting happened?
There's a witness who, yes, a witness said that he pointed the gun in the direction of officers. And again, we haven't interviewed the officers that were involved, and we're hoping to learn what they saw from their respective positions.
Chief, is it common practice that the officers wouldn't have been interviewed by this point so many hours later?
So every case is nuanced, and a lot of that gets hashed out between the investigators from our homicide division, from the Alameda County District Attorney's Office. You know, the police officers are represented by, you know, a legal firm, and so there's a lot of coordinated effort to be able to identify a time that works for everyone. The other thing that I'll add is that the consulting firm that we use is not a California-based firm, and so there's a travel component to be able to get them on site to do their piece of this.
Do all 3 officers arrive in separate cars, or any of them all together?
All 3 were in separate cars.
I've been told this individual was unhoused. Can you confirm if they had an address? The person who...
So we haven't learned his identity yet, and so anything that I would provide with respect to his housing would be speculative at this point. We're working with the Alameda County Coroner's Office to figure out who he is.
When was the last time Hayward PD were involved in the shooting?
I believe it was in October of 22. October of 22.
Chief, has anybody from the department been able to talk to the officers? Just how are they doing?
You know, I will share that this is obviously a traumatic event for them. This is something that impacts, you know, somebody both physically, mentally, and emotionally, and so to that effect, you know, they have been in consultation with their own legal counsel through their union, their association. Outside of that, you know, they are not to talk to anybody else until they're interviewed. But based on what I've been told by their attorneys, considering they're doing okay right now.
Just to be sure, did he fire the BB gun at all during the encounter?
I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know that. And I also don't know anything about how far away they were, you know, what the lighting conditions were, et cetera. That's all information that we're hoping to learn.
Did it happen in the parking lot? Can you describe exactly where it happened in the shopping center?
So my understanding is that there's a multi-story business building, and there's a Safeway with a stairwell that kind of goes up the hill in between them. And it was about midway up that area where the shooting took place. So in between the Safeway and what we refer to as the Zabalos building.
On the stairway?
It was near this. It was just above the stairway, kind of on a pathway up there. Anything else? All right. I appreciate your time. Thank you for being here.